Everyone, and welcome to this live. If you've seen my stories earlier, I've shared the reason for going live today. So the ACCC in Australia has released a report on Monday, just passed, and they've called it Targeting Scams. And it's a yearly report that they release. So the ACCC is the Australian Competitions and Consumer Commission. And this report is about the scams, how much it's costing the Australian economy every year in scams, and this is for 2021. And when I read the report, I got very cross to start off with, and not only very cross, but I realised the problem that we have, and I have been talking about this for quite a while. I feel like online scams and hacking is on the rise, and this report gives the stats to prove what I've been saying and what I've been thinking is right, unfortunately. Since 2019, which is only 2 years really, because these stats don't take into consideration this year, 2022. So since 2019, there's been an 84% increase in online scams. 84%. They're saying that it's costing the Australian economy 1.8 billion, and that's reported. And they're saying that they estimate only 1/3 of scam victims actually report their scams. So therefore, the figure that is being lost at the moment is well over $2 billion. Imagine what we could do with $2 billion for our healthcare, our roads, so many different things that we need to put money into instead of losing this money to scammers. I know myself as a business owner, and even in my personal life, I have much more things to invest my hard-earned money on rather than giving it to these criminals. And we need to stop them in their tracks. We need to create awareness, and we need to learn how to identify these. It's the only way that we're going to stop them. Technology will play a part, but it's us that needs to learn the tactics, the tricks that they're using, and how to identify them and how to stop them so that we stop losing this amount of money that we're losing. So some of the stats, I just wanted to share with you, especially if you own a business. And even if you're in Australia, hi Dara, hope you're well. Even if you're in Australia, it's not just in Australia, should I say. These stats are, probably relevant across the world. No matter what country you live in, these stats will be relevant for you as well. Cybercrime and scams are on the rise, but the ACCC shared that the largest combined scams for 2021, so those 701 million lost to investment scams. Now, when we talk about investment scams, cryptocurrency scams is massive right now. So last year, Australians lost 701 million to basically cryptocurrency scams. And no matter where you turn online, everybody's talking about investing in crypto and the crypto is the future, but we don't know how to do it properly, and therefore we're losing a lot of money. So that was one of the biggest areas of loss for Australians last year, is investments. The second biggest area of loss for Australians last year was payment redirection scams and business email compromise. So hackers hacking into email systems, changing bank account details, convincing you to pay your hard-earned money into other accounts. Settlement agents, for instance, is one. Buying houses. There's so many people has lost so much money in investment and property scams last year as well. And the third one, and this will be alarming to some people, but it's not alarming to me, is the third biggest loss in Australia last year was romance scams. Australians lost 142 million to romance scams. So how are these scams being reported, and what's the most frequently reported method? So they're still saying phishing and scam emails is number one way that they're being successful, and that's how they're doing it. The number two way is threat to lives. So they may be having information about you and then using that information to try and get you to pay them some money. So holding you to ransom. And the third way that they're catching people in Australia is online shopping scams. So classified ads is one. So I've seen them trying to sell agricultural machinery, selling cars, selling those types of things. They're saying that only 13% of victims actually report that they've fallen victim. That's quite a low number. Now, there was one area that it definitely was of huge interest to me, and I know for a lot of my followers here on Instagram as well, it will be a huge area of interest for you too, is that when they look at losses reported by size of business, that micro businesses, so not to 4 staff, so not micro in size of earnings or revenue, micro in size of staff, so not to 4 staff, there was a 71% increase in them losing to scams and online scams last year. 71% increase. Small businesses, 5 to 19 staff, there was actually a decrease, so they weren't seen as being targeted or falling for these scams. Medium-sized businesses between 20 to 200 staff, there was a 170% increase. 170% increase from the year before. And then large businesses over 200 staff, there was a 95% decrease. So over 200 staff, and I know that from the work that I do, larger corporates and larger big businesses have been investing in upskilling their staff, in training and in their technology. They've been doing that for a number of years now, but the small and medium-sized businesses, as we can see here from the stats, were falling behind. I often hear small business owners say to me after they've been hacked, I never thought it would happen to me. I always thought that would happen to other people. The other stat that I'm just going to share with you today before I leave you with this information, because it's quite a heavy topic and it's devastating to see these types of results coming. That the age group that is losing the most amount of money in Australia at the moment. Hey, lovely Claire, how are you? The age group that is losing the most amount of money in Australia at the moment is over 65s. So the graph in the report shows that after 35 to 44, we start losing more and more. And that makes sense. You know, that's the age group and demographic that hasn't grown up with technology, that hasn't grown up with computers. And most of us from the age 35 onwards have been self-taught how to use computers. The younger generation have been brought up with computers and know how to be a little bit more savvy. So it's not surprising to see that over 65s, they are it's 80% reported loss for over 65s, 80% of the losses in 2021. So if you're only joining me now, go back and have a listen. Over the next couple of weeks, I am going to be sharing some case studies of real life examples of businesses and individuals that have been scammed in 2021. I'll share the link to this report as well, because I think every business owner in Australia needs to read this. They need to look at what they need to do to protect their hard-earned cash, because that's what we're losing. It's our hard-earned cash that we're losing. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to bring this doom and gloom to online, but we need to use this as fuel to fight against them and to learn those skills to stop them. You know, I've had some amazing feedback from people recently that have attended workshops with me to say that, you know, I've given them an awareness where they now stop and think. I had a lady last week who attended a workshop with me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, emailed me last week saying, I've clicked on a link in an email and it's just, you have come into my mind thinking I shouldn't have done that. And that's what it's about, is knowing that was a mistake. What do we need to do? How do we stop that? So over the next coming weeks, I'll be sharing more and more from this report. But as I said, it's clear to be seen that cybercrime, unfortunately, is on the rise. And the only way that we're going to fight against it is arming ourselves with the knowledge to stop it. So hopefully that wasn't too heavy. But if my key message, my key takeaway is learn the tactics, learn how they're trying to do this. Have the radars up, have the red flags up, so you know what to look out for. Have an awesome day, evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world, And as always, if you've got any questions, or if you want any information, or you think you've maybe even fallen victim to something, please reach out. My DMs are always open and I'd love to have a chat. Thanks for listening. See you soon.